Hello everyone. Today we'll be doing mainly the inferior surface and ligaments and the lobes. Okay. So first of all, we have already studied yesterday that liver has two lobes, right and left lobe, and the right lobe is forming 5/6 of liver, whereas this right lobe is further divided. It is further divided into two lobes, which are caudate lobe and quadrate lobe. Now, first of all, we'll first try to concentrate on this diagram. This is the liver from below. Okay. Now, since we are seeing the from below, this is the right side. We have just turned the liver, so the right side, which was on the opposite side, has become to the left side, and left side has gone to the right side since we have turned the liver. Okay. So we can see this is a inferior surface of liver, that is the visceral surface, and this is ligamentum venosum. I told you yesterday that this ligamentum venosum on the inferior border is ligamentum teres and falciform ligament in the front. So this is the inferior surface, this is ligamentum venosum. Okay, and this is porta hepatis. Porta hepatis is a hilum of liver. You can say the doorway of the liver. It is a deep fissure, transverse deep fissures about 2 inches of length. Okay, and through this porta hepatis there is entry of two, like this is portal vein and arteries, and exit of hepatic bile ducts. Okay, so certain structures are going inside and certain structures are going outside. This we'll deal it later. Now on the inferior surface there is also gallbladder. Okay, we can see this is gallbladder, and this is on the inferior border. As I told you, inferior border anteriorly falciform ligament, inferior border ligamentum teres, and inferior surface it becomes ligamentum venosum, right? So you can understand it. Okay, this is the inferior surface. So we can see here, this is the caudate lobe. So we can write down here caudate lobe is on posterior surface. We can see this part, this is the inferior and this is a posterior surface. Okay, it is quite merged. We can't clearly demarcate. So this is the posterior, this is the inferior surface. Okay, where there is ligamentum venosum, this is posterior, ligamentum teres is the inferior one. So this caudate lobe is on the posterior surface, right? One thing. And then the relations of this caudate lobe we can see on the right side. This is the right lobe, this is the right part. Okay, so we can see on the right side there is a groove for inferior vena cava. We can see clearly on the right side, and on the left side we are having fissure for ligamentum venosum, right? And on the inferior side what we are having a porta hepatis, and it is continuous to the superior surface above. So these are the relation of caudate lobe. So if you have to write relations of caudate lobe, we can write that on the right side, on right, this is having what? Groove for inferior vena cava, right? Now on the left there is a fissure for ligamentum venosum. Now since we are talking about the posterior surface, so we will write the venosum, ligamentum venosum. Anteriorly this is ligamentum falciparum and inferiorly ligamentum teres. So left fissure for ligamentum venosum, inferiorly relation of caudate lobe is what? Porta hepatis, right? And above it is continuous with superior surface. Okay, so caudate lobe, is it clear? Caudate lobe, where is it situated? It is situated on the posterior surface. On the right side there is a fissure for inferior vena cava. On left side there is ligamentum venosum. Inferiorly it has porta hepatis and above it is continuous with the superior surface. In the same way we can see here, this is the quadrate lobe. Okay, so write down quadrate lobe. Now quadrate lobe. If we see quadrate lobe, this is situated on the inferior surface. This is situated on the inferior surface and this is somewhat rectangular in shape, right? So if we see the relations here again, once again, on the right side what we are seeing? On the right there is a fossa for gallbladder. On the left there is ligamentum teres. Inferior surface पे क्या है? Ligamentum teres. And anteriorly by the anteriorly, this is what? Anteriorly, this is the inferior border, remember. ठीक है? So anteriorly मतलब आगे की तरफ it is what it is? Anteriorly it is inferior border. This is the inferior border of liver. And posteriorly there is porta hepatis. Anteriorly means आगे की तरफ. आगे की तरफ क्या है? Border है inferior and पीछे की तरफ porta hepatis है. Try to imagine in a 3D way, this is the visceral surface and the lower border. So if you keep it anatomically, this inferior border is facing towards the anterior abdominal wall. So we will say anteriorly it is marked by the inferior border and posteriorly by porta hepatis. So we can write this down here, that this anteriorly this is marked by the inferior border of liver okay, and posteriorly by porta hepatis. On the right side it is having fossa for gallbladder. Clear? On the left side this is having fissure for ligamentum teres. So these are the four boundaries or the relations of the quadrate lobe. Again I will focus on the diagram here. See, this is the right side, gallbladder on the right side. This is the fossa for gallbladder here. This is ligamentum teres. Above, sorry, or in posteriorly there is a porta hepatis and inferior border downwards. Okay. So is it clear? This is the inferior border part which is facing towards the anterior abdominal wall. If we just rotate this so that the right side becomes the left and left becomes the right, then this inferior border will be facing towards the anterior abdominal wall. Is it clear, everybody? Now we can see the structure here, porta hepatis. So few lines about porta hepatis we can write here down. Porta hepatis. Now this porta hepatis is a deep transverse fissure about 2 inches long on inferior surface of right lobe of liver and between what? Between caudate lobe and caudate lobe where? Caudate lobe above and quadrate lobe below. Now again let's see the diagram here. See, this is porta hepatis, this is caudate lobe which is above porta hepatis, and this is quadrate lobe which is below porta hepatis. Clear hai? Okay. Now entry, what all enters inside porta hepatis? So entry is of portal vein, hepatic artery and plexus of nerves, right? And exit, if we talk about, then exit is of right and left hepatic ducts. Basically bile is going out. Clear? So entry exit we have discussed here. Now since this is the fissure, opening is there, so the lips of porta hepatis will give attachment to lesser omentum. Now this is another topic which we will study when we will study the stomach or the peritoneal relations. Okay, so this was about the right lobe. Right lobe is divided further into caudate lobe, quadrate lobe, right? Porta hepatis. Now before we go further, we need to understand about the ligaments as well. So to study the ligaments, we need to move towards the development of liver. So I have made a diagram here about the development of liver, a small diagram. Okay, see this. So when development is going on, there is a gut tube. Gut tube is formed, single gut tube, which has 3 parts. Okay, now 3 parts which are called, this is foregut, this is midgut, and this is hindgut. A simple straight tube is formed in the beginning embryologically, and this is anterior abdominal wall, okay, of the fetus. Here this is septum transversum. This is septum transversum which will develop into diaphragm further. This is septum transversum. Okay, clear? Septum transversum. And this is ventral mesentery. All this is ventral mesentery tissue inside there. Now a bud will start from here, foregut, and this will grow towards the septum transversum through this ventral mesentery. This will form future liver. Is that clear? There is a gut tube, mouth to anus, divided into 3 parts, foregut, midgut, hindgut, and a bud from foregut will grow through this ventral mesentery towards the septum transversum, which will develop into future diaphragm, right? This bud is herniating into the ventral mesentery, and it is slowly growing and covering all the mesentery, clearing all the mesentery. As it grows bigger, most space is taken of the mesentery and remnants are left. So if we see one more bud herniates from this lower side, and this will form future gallbladder. This will form the future gallbladder. Okay. And now since there is a umbilical connection, through mother blood is going to the liver. This is umbilicus, blood is going inside. Okay. Now this is not needed when baby is born, so this will get disappear. Okay. Now when the liver is growing, this mesentery will ward off and this anterior abdominal wall will come near to it, and this remnant will remain. This remnant will remain, and this remnant of mesentery here, this is called ligamentum falciform, ligamentum falciform or falciform ligament. Is it clear? So the remnant of mesentery is forming the falciform ligament, which is dividing liver into two parts. Is it clear? Okay. So now there is also a part which is not covered by mesentery, which is in direct contact of the diaphragm, and that part is called the bare area of liver. Bare area of liver. Okay. So this is not having any mesentery. Similarly, at the gallbladder point also, this is not having any mesentery. Okay. Clear? Okay. So this ligament falciform, clear to everybody? Remnants which are formed on the surface, anterior surface by falciform ligament, I had told you. Now this remnant of mesentery on the inferior surface will turn into ligamentum teres, and in the back ligamentum venosum. Right? So this was about the ligaments of liver. So everybody is clear with the ligaments? Okay. That's all for this session. Next, I forgot about the left lobe also. So here we can write about the left lobe. Yes. So left lobe is forming only 1/6 part. So, and this 1/6 part, it is flattened above down. Flattened above down. This is very small part, flattened above down, right? And inferior surface, its inferior surface has a round elevation. Inferior surface have a round elevation, which is called tuber omental. Okay. So if we see here in this diagram, this is the left lobe. Okay. And near this ligamentum venosum fissure, there is a tuberosity here, elevation, which is called tuber omental. So this is only about the left lobe. Okay. So this is flattened above, below. Okay. So just to gist out the thing, this is posterior surface of liver. These are various ligament. Here I had drawn one diagram, but I thought it would be better understandable for the inferior surface. Sorry. Okay. So two lobes in right lobe for caudate, quadrate, then porta hepatis, then how the ligaments are formed, and the left lobe. So this was the lecture for today. If any query, please let me know. Any questions? Thank you.